This is the word that came to Yirmiyahu concerning all the people of Yehuda in the 4th year of Joachim, the son of Yoshiyahu, king of Yehuda. This was also the 1st year Nebuchadnezzar, king of Bavel. Yirmiyahu the prophet proclaimed it before all the people of Yehuda and all the inhabitants of Jerusalem. For 23 years, since the 13th year, Yeshayahu, son of Ammon, king of Yehuda, until today, the word of Adonai has come to me, and I have proclaimed it to you on numerous occasions, but you haven't listened. Moreover, Adonai sent you all his servants, the prophets, again on numerous occasions, but you didn't listen or pay attention. The message was always, every one of you, turn back from his evil way, from the evil of your actions. Then you will live in the land Adonai gave you and your ancestors forever and ever. Don't follow other gods by serving and worshiping them. Don't provoke my anger with things your own hands have made. Then I will do you no harm. But you wouldn't listen to me, says Adonai, so that you could provoke me with the products of your hands to your own harm. Therefore, here is what Adonai Sabaoth says. Because you haven't paid attention to what I've been saying, I'm going to send for all the families of the north, says Adonai, and for my servant Nebuchadnezzar, king of Bavel, and bring them against this land, against its inhabitants, against all its surrounding nations. I will completely destroy them, making them an object of horror and ridicule, a perpetual ruin. Moreover, I will silence among them the sounds of joy and gladness, the voices of bridegrooms and bride, the grindings of millstones and the light of lamps. This entire land will become a ruin, a waste. These nations will serve the king of Bavel for 70 years. When the 70 years are over, I will punish the king of Bavel and that nation for their sin, says Adonai, and I will return the land of the Casdim into everlasting ruins. I will inflict on that land all my words that I have decreed against it, everything written in this book, in which Yirmiyahu has prophesied against all the nations. But they too will become slaves to many nations and to powerful kings, and I will pay back according to their deeds and to the work of their own hands. Here is what Adonai, the God of Israel, says to me. Take this cup of wine and fury from my hand, and make all the nations where I am sending you drink it. They will drink, stagger to and fro, and behave like crazy people, because of the sword which I have sent among them. Then I took the cup from Adonai's hand and made all the nations drink, where Adonai had sent me. Jerusalem and the cities of Yehuda, along with all the other kings and leaders, to make them a ruin, an object of horror, ridicule, cursing, as it is today. Pharaoh, king of Egypt, with his servants and leaders and all his people, both native and foreign, all the kings of the land of Uz, all the kings of the land of the Plishtim, Ashkelon, Uzzah, Ekron, and the remaining in Ashdod, Edom, Moab, and the people of Ammon, all the kings of Zor, Zidon, and the coastlands across the sea, Dedan, Tema, Buz, and all who cut the corners of their beards, all the kings of Arabia, the mixed peoples living in the deserts, all the kings of Zimri, Elam, and the Medes, all the kings of the north, far and near, one after another, indeed, all the kingdoms of the world, and there on the surface of the earth, and the kings of Shishik will drink last of all. You are here to say to them, here is what Adonai Sabaoth, the God of Israel, says, drink until you are drunk, that you throw up, fall down, never get up again, because of the sword I am sending among you. If they refuse to take the cup from your hand and drink it, then say to them, here is what Adonai Sabaoth says, you must drink. For look, if I am bringing disaster on this city that bears my own name, did you not expect to go unpunished? Yes, I will summon a sword for all the inhabitants of the earth, says Adonai. As for you, Yirmiyahu, prophesy all these words against them, say to them. Adonai is roaring from on high, raising his voice from his holy dwelling. roaring with might against his own habitation, shouting out loud with those who tread grapes against everyone living on earth. The sound resounds to the ends of the earth, for Adonai is indicting the nations, about to pass judgment on all humankind, the wicked, handed over to a sword, says Adonai. Thus says Adonai Sevaot, disaster is spreading from nation to nation. A mighty tempest is being unleashed from the furthest ends of the earth. On that day, those killed by Adonai will be strewn from one end of the earth to the other. They will not be mourned or gathered or buried, but will lie on the ground like dung. Wail, shepherds, cry. Wailo in the dust, lords of the flocks, for the days of your slaughter have come. I will break you in pieces, and like prize vase you will fall. The shepherds have no way to flee, the lords of the flocks no way to escape. Hear the cry of the shepherds, the wails of the lords of the flocks. For Adonai is destroying their pasture. The peaceful gazing grounds are silenced because of Adonai's fierce anger. Like a lion, he has abandoned his lair. For their land has become desolate because of the oppressor's fierce sword and because of Adonai's fierce anger. At the beginning of the reign of Joachim, son of Yeshayahu, king of Yehuda, this word came from Adonai. Adonai says, stand in the courtyard of Adonai's house and speak to the people from all the cities of Yehuda who came to worship at Adonai's house. Say everything I order you to say to them, and don't leave out a word. Maybe they will listen, and each of them turn from his evil way. Then I will be able to relent from the disaster I intend to bring on them because of how evil their deeds are. So tell them that this is what Adonai says. If you will not pay attention to me and live according to my Torah which I have given you, and listen to what my servants the prophets whom I send to you say, I have sent them frequently, but you haven't listened. Then I will make this house like Shiloh, and I will make this city an object of cursing for all the nations of the earth. The Kohanim, the prophets, and all the people of Yirmiyahu speaking these words in the house of Adonai. Then Yirmiyahu had finished saying everything Adonai had ordered him to say to all the people. The Kohanim, the prophets, and all the people seized him, shouting, You will die for this! Why have you prophesied in the name of Adonai? This house will become like Shiloh, and the city will become uninhabited ruins. The people are crowded in Yirmiyahu in Adonai's house. When the officials of Yehuda heard about it, they came from the king's palace to Adonai's house and sat at the entrance of the gate of Adonai's house. The Kohanim and the prophets said to the officials and all the people, This man deserves a death sentence, because he has prophesied against this city, and you have heard it with your own ears. Then Yirmiyahu said to the officials and all the people, Adonai sent me to prophesy against this house and against this city all the words you have heard. Therefore now improve your ways and your doings, and listen to the voice of Adonai your God. Then Adonai will relent from his disaster he has decreed against you. But as for me, here, I'm in your hands. Do with me whatever seems good and right to you. Only know for certain that if you put me to death, you will bring innocent blood on yourselves, on the city and all the inhabitants, because of the fact that Adonai sent me to you to speak all these words, so that you could hear them. The officials and all the people then said to the Kohanim and prophets, This man does not deserve death sentence, because he has spoken to us in the name of Adonai our God. At this point, some of the leaders of the land stood up and addressed all the people assembled. Back in the time of Hezekiah, king of Yehuda, Micha from Morshet was a prophet. He told all the people of Yehuda, Adonai's vote says, Zion will be plowed under like a field. Jerusalem will become heaps of ruin, and the mountains of the house like a forested height. Did Hezekiah, king of Yehuda, and all of Yehuda put him to death? Not at all. Rather, he feared Adonai and prayed for Adonai's favor, and Adonai relented from the disaster he pronounced against them. So, if we put Yirmiyahu to death, we might bring great disaster on ourselves. On the other hand, there was also a man prophesied in the name of Adonai, Uriyahu, son of Shemyahu, from Kirit Yarim, who prophesied against the city and against the land exactly what Yirmiyahu is saying. When Joachim, the king, with all his military men and all the officials, heard what they were saying, the king wanted to have him killed. On hearing of this, Uriyehu became frightened, fled, and went to Egypt. Joachim, the king, sent men to Egypt. Elnathan, the son of Achbor, and some others, they brought Uriyehu back from Egypt, and took him to Joachim, the king, who put him to the sword and threw his corpse in the burial ground of the common people. But in the situation concerning Yirmiyahu, Achim, son of Shaphan, used his influence to help him, so that they would not hand it over to people to be put to death. At the beginning of the reign of Joachim, the son of Yoshiyahu, king of Yehuda, this word came to Yirmiyahu from Adonai. Adonai says this to me: "Make yourself a yoke strap and crossbars, and put it on your neck. Send similar yokes to the kings of Edom and Moab and the people of Ammon and Zor and Zidon by means of envoys. They send to Jerusalem and to the Zedekiyahu, king of Yehuda. Give them this message for their masters by telling their envoys that Adonai Sabaoth, the God of Israel, says for them to tell their masters, I made the earth, humankind, and all the animals on the earth by my great power and my outstretched arm, and I give it to whom it seems right to me. For now I have given over all these lands to my servant Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babel. I have also given him the wild animals to serve him. All the nations will serve him, his sons, his grandson, until my own country gets its turn, at which time the nations and great kings will make him their slave. The nation and the kingdoms will refuse to serve this Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babel, that will not put their necks under the yoke, the king of Babel, and I will punish, says Adonai, with sword, famine, plague, until I have put an end to them through him. You, therefore, don't listen to your prophets, diviners, dreamers, magicians, or sorcerers, when they tell you that you won't be subject to the king of Babel, for they are prophesying lies to you, that you will result in your being removed far from your land, with my driving you out, so that you will perish. But the nation that puts its neck under the yoke of the king of Babel and serves him, that nation I will allow to remain on their own soil, says Adonai. They will farm it and live there. Then I spoke to Zedekiah, king of Yehuda, in just the same way. Put your necks under the yoke of the king of Babel. Serve him and his people, and you will live. Why would you want to die, you and your people, by sword, famine, and plague, which is what Adonai had decreed for the nation that will not serve the king of Babel? Don't listen to the words of the prophets who say to you, you will not serve the king of Babel, because they are prophesying lies against you. For I have not sent them, says Adonai, and they are prophesying falsely in my name, with the result that I will drive you out, and you will perish, you and the prophets prophesying to you. I also spoke to the Kohanim and to all the people. I said, this is what Adonai says. Don't listen to the words of the prophets prophesying to you, and the articles of Adonai's house will soon be returned from Babel, because they are prophesying lies to you. Don't listen to them. Serve the king of Babel and stay alive. Why should the city become a ruin? But if they are in fact prophets, and if the word of Adonai is with them, then let them now intercede with Adonai Sabaoth, that the article still remaining in the house of Adonai and all the palace of the king of Yehuda will not go off to Babel. For this is what Adonai Sabaoth says concerning the columns, the seas, the bases, the rest of the articles still here in the city, that Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babel, did not seize when he carried off captive Yechiyahu, the son of Joachim, king of Yehuda, from Jerusalem to Babel, along with all the leading men, Yehuda and Jerusalem. Yes, this is what Adonai Shaddai, God of Israel, says about the things remaining in the house of Israel. In the palace of the king of Yehuda and Jerusalem, they will be carried to Babel, and there they will stay until the day I remember them, bring them back, and restore them to this place, says Adonai.